All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously high-stakes dilemma, a true story that beautifully bridges the gap between professional ambition and profound human connection.
Picture this for a second. You're standing in a pristine, state-of-the-art hospital in Sydney, Australia. You're a talented doctor, and you've just been handed the career opportunity of a lifetime. We're talking a clear path to permanent residency, immense financial security, cutting-edge resources, the whole shebang. But suddenly you find yourself completely paralyzed by the haunting memory of a village mother thousands of miles away in Pakistan, wearing a black T-bond. It brings up a massive question: benefit or duty? What will a person choose? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring today.
Section 1. A special patient at the hospital. So to really wrap our heads around how this all happened, we need to rewind a bit, back to 1994, to the severely under-resourced Nishtar Hospital in Multan, Pakistan. Dr. Javed Iqbal was a senior registrar there in the surgery ward, and this chaotic ward, it was his entire world. Endless morning rounds, emergencies, grueling hours, and just an overwhelming amount of need. Now, he shares these events in his book, Fir Yun Hua, as an Afsana. Usually an Afsana is a piece of literary storytelling, but actually in this context, it is undeniably rooted in raw, lived events. Dr. Iqbal basically blends narrative artistry with the absolute truth of his medical career, turning his real patients into unforgettable life lessons for all of us.
Okay, so imagine one evening, a stretcher is wheeled into that busy Multani ER. On it is a frail young man who is, tragically, practically just a skeleton at this point. His medical journey up to this moment was a complete nightmare. It started with typhoid, led to a ruptured intestine, and then, after multiple failed operations in a town called Shorecoat, he was left with severe intestinal fistulas, extreme malnutrition, and honestly, zero hope.
But walking quietly right behind that stretcher was his mother. She's wearing a black turban, a loose shirt, and her face just shows the deep, heavy exhaustion of countless sleepless nights. As Dr. Iqbal is looking over these terrifying medical reports, she quietly, without a single hint of complaint, mind you, delivers this stark reality check. She says, "I sold my 2 goats and brought my son here. He's my only son." You guys, she had exhausted literally all her worldly wealth to save her child. It was a statement of such absolute truth that it left absolutely no room for further medical questioning.
Section 2. The Bond of Saag, Wali, Amman.
Now here's where the story gets really incredible. This woman, she didn't just sit there anxiously wringing her hands by her son's bed. No, she became a mother to the entire hospital ward. The rigid, sterile boundaries of a hospital just began to beautifully blur into something that felt like a warm home. I mean, she'd literally leave her slippers at the door, walking in barefoot just out of pure respect for the healing space. She's helping busy nurses hand out food from the trolleys. She's adjusting pillows for elderly patients, offering them water. And whenever she visited her village, she'd come back loaded with homemade ghee, butter, and sweets for everyone.
Her warmth was just so overwhelming that the whole shifting staff, house officers, nurses, ward boys, everybody, they completely stopped using her real name. She universally became known as Saag Wali Amma, or the mother who brings mustard greens, because she would bring these huge pots of delicious village saag for the staff every single week. And this bond, it went deep. She ended up treating Dr. Iqbal like her very own eldest son. She trusted him so much that she practically ordered him to travel to her village in Shorecoat to personally vet a marriage proposal for her daughter. She saw him as family, plain and simple.
Section 3. The Extraordinary Opportunity in Sydney. So right as her young son finally stabilizes enough to be temporarily discharged, with one final major surgery scheduled for months down the line, something massive happens. Dr. Iqbal gets awarded a 6-month hepatobiliary surgery scholarship in Sydney, Australia. And this sets up an immense contrast. On one side, you've got Multan, a low monthly salary, severely lacking medical resources, and overwhelming need, but incredibly deep emotional bonds. On the other side, Sydney, pristine operating theaters, a high salary for just a few evening shifts, immense respect from his mentor, and a highly lucrative pathway to stay in Australia forever.
Section 4. A Strange and Silent Dream.
Logically, the choice is a no-brainer, right? You stay in Sydney and build a comfortable life. But, you know, our subconscious mind has a really funny way of stepping in when we think we've got it all figured out. Before dawn one night, a strange recurring dream completely shatters his perfectly laid out plans.
In this dream, Saag wali Amman appears right there in his modern Sydney room, dressed in her familiar black tikband. She looks at him and delivers this massive emotional punch, asking one simple, devastating question. If you stay here, who will operate on my son? That question became a haunting echo in his mind, night after night.
Section 5. The Battle of Duty and Benefit. This dream absolutely forces Dr. Iqbal to sit in the quiet pre-dawn darkness and really ask himself the tough questions. Is he staying just for the money and the state-of-the-art facilities, or does his true, irreplaceable purpose lie back where he is most desperately needed? Well, that morning he made his choice. At dawn, he wakes up from that recurring dream for the very last time. By early morning, he completely bypasses the hospital, marching straight to a public telephone booth. By midday Pakistan time, he calls his father and, with striking clarity, announces he is abandoning his residency plans and coming home immediately. No looking back.
Now, trying to explain this sudden 180 to his colleagues? Yeah, not easy. But he has this incredibly touching conversation with Nurse Alex, a single mother at the Sydney hospital, which perfectly sums up his realization. When she asks him, completely baffled, why he's throwing away such a perfect life, he tells her, Australia has many doctors to serve its people, but my country has Saag wali Amman, and very few to treat her. He realized something absolutely crucial. True value isn't found in a paycheck, it's found in being irreplaceable to those who have nothing.
Section 6. The Return in a Life Lesson.
So, leaving all that pristine Sydney perfection behind, Dr. Iqbal makes a victorious, even if much less wealthy return to the grueling grind of Nishtar Hospital in Multan. And the reunion? It was just heartwarming. When Amman returns with her biological son for that final surgery, she doesn't greet Dr. Iqbal formally as this esteemed medical professional. No way. She walks right up to him, places both hands on his head like a deeply proud mother, and simply says, "My son has come." And yes, in case you were wondering, that final, complex surgery for her biological son was a complete success.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer, leaving us with a really lingering mystery, much like Dr. Javed Iqbal himself. Was that recurring dream just the manifestation of a doctor's guilty subconscious? Or did a selfless, village mother's silent prayer literally travel thousands of miles across oceans just to pull her eldest son back home? It makes you think, doesn't it? When you are faced with a choice between personal benefit and human duty, what will you choose? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable true story with us today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.